How would you react if I would tell you that you could learn any language you would like with natives from around the world? This is possible with websites such as Conversation Exchange, where you can offer to help with your native tongue in exchange for being able to talk with a native from the country where you would like to learn the language from. Even though I have made previous videos about tools such as Gliglish, where you can have an AI partner, I still believe that the most value can be had from real native speakers. I just mentioned this tool because I think in the beginning it can be helpful, especially if you're a bit afraid to build up a foundation. However, once you've reached the foundational level and feel comfortable, I would advise you strongly to start using real interactions, because in the end, this is what makes language learning fun. I briefly want to talk about my experience with online language learning conversations with real people. In my case, it started during the pandemic, when it was not possible to meet any natives in, for example, your home country, home city. Plus, generally, I'm fortunate enough that I'm from Cologne, a big city where there is a community of exchanging languages. However, if you live in a small country, in a small city, it's often not possible. The pandemic really showed me that it's possible online to learn languages as well. I had conversations with a student from Milano as well as with a student from Argentina. So I really think it's a beautiful thing that you can have a global network of people to talk with for free. And often it is really nice to just share as well. So it was nice to see how they progressed in their target language and that I could be useful for them as well. Now I want to look with you at my Notion page and explain to you why I think this design is good to start with, because it's not too filled up but helps you with the essential to get started. And you of course can change the layout. In my case, I prefer the dark mode, but for now I just show you the light mode. You can see in the top we have a quote, just as a little inspiration, a little motivation. To have another language is to possess a second soul, which maybe can give us a bit of motivation when we need a bit more. Below this quote, we have a timer which you can personalize considering your choice of country and also when you're going to visit it. So this can be personalized. Below this also can be personalized the pictures, just to have another spark of motivation, because I think if you look at just one language learning session, it is often hard to connect it back to the aim of really reaching fluency or even conversational level in the language. And I think just to have some pictures, some eye catchers can help you to stay motivated. Below this picture, we have the link for Conversation Exchange, just to make it easier to get to the page. And below we have the two main parts of this template, which is questions and language partners. First, let's talk about language partners, because here you can create an overview of with whom you're regularly speaking, and also add the language with an icon of the country. So for example, we have Steve from Brazil, Francesco from Italy, and Margot from France. In this case, we can click on Steve and then see an overview of the vocabulary we added. So we can see the English version and also the Portuguese version. And if we want to create something new, we just click on new, enter it in, for example, nice to hear from you. And then you can add the Portuguese version. However, you can also create a new property, and there you can also click on AI translation if you want another language. So this is a feature to be kept in mind because it can be really helpful. Now going back, we, as you have seen before, have the overview of the language partners. So we have this table for each partner to have an overview which can then be added to, for example, Anki or Google Drive folder if you want to process the vocabulary even more. However, the main part of this template are the questions. Because in the beginning, it can be hard to decide upon what to talk. And of course, it depends really on your mutual interests and the mood of the session. But I think especially to not fall into the trap of talking always about the same, it can be really helpful to also have a bit the guideline. This does not mean that you just like a robot read these questions and expect the person to engage with this, but you want a natural flow, but just to have in the back of your mind these questions which can structure your conversation a bit. In our case, we have 8 different topics with 20 questions. So it's a very wide variety of questions to have. For example, if we click on life story, we then have 20 questions in English, where we can also add the, for example, French version as a toggle. So here we can add the French version, so we have this for our conversation. And this means you can just go through the questions which can fuel the continuation of your conversation, and can just choose what type of question you think is most suitable for the day. And if you want, you already talked about who's the youngest in your family, maybe also how this makes you feel and everything. You can click on the check mark, so you know, okay, this topic I've already covered, and this is also how you get a bit wider vocabulary base. Now, to get this template, you can just go in the description and copy it to your Notion workplace. Very easy to do. Otherwise, you can also let me know in the comments which language you're interested in, because these 8 times 20 questions can be easily translated into your target language. So just let me know, and I will also create a guide for the specific language for you. Now that you have clicked on the link in the description, you get to the landing page of Conversation Exchange. Here you can just click on sign up and very easily create an account by just typing in your email, re-entering your email, typing in the code, and then you're good to go. Now that we have created an account, we land at the landing page. Here we get some general tips and also access to the different functions of the website. In our case, we want to go to the search function to search for a viable partner who matches our expectations and what we can offer. So now, for example, I want to find a partner for practicing my French. So I can click on Speaks and then select French. In my case, I know I am a native speaker in German and English, so let's say I choose German, so I can help with German. Now that I've selected the language, I can also choose the country. In my case, I don't want to learn the French from Quebec in Canada, but more the French from Paris, let's say. So, or France in general. So I click on country, France. Now that I've selected the country, I can also specify the town. Maybe I want to move to France, to Paris or Marseille, and then of course it would also make sense to get to know a person from there, to maybe have a potential person in the future to meet, but also to have the possibility to speak about specifics of the city and their experience. So in my case, I want to get to know Paris, and I can also select the level of German they're trying to improve upon. So if I have a preference, I can also choose another level. But say for now, I want to help German language learners from beginner until proficiency. Now that I've done this, I can also determine which kind of exchange I want. So face-to-face, correspondence, pen pal, or using a chat software. But in my case, because I know the most value can generally be had with face-to-face conversations, I select this. The next one would be if I have preferences to select also the age. Now I'm 25, so let's say I want to look for a partner from 20 to 35, just to get a general range which could be interesting for me, but of course other ages would be interesting as well. Now gender, I don't have any preferences, and login date is best last login, because then the algorithm also filters the person which was last online. Now I click on search and see what the platform offers me. Now as you can see, we always have the nickname at the top, also the gender and the age, as well as the country and town. And see with the town, everyone is from Paris, so the filter already applies. Now we can also see what level of German they speak. So if we have preferences, we can also choose this. Or if we, for example, by coincidence also learn Korean, we can also team up with Alicia from Paris and also learn this together. So it really depends on what preferences you have. Also, of course, looking for mutual interests or something that sparks your interest helps. So we can look at the hobbies and interests section, the description, and so on. Once we've decided upon who we find interesting for a conversation, we can just click on either add this person or send a message. The easiest part, I think, would be to send a message, and it can also be kind of copy-pasted. Of course, you want to also personalize it, but I think the general part, especially the part about yourself, can just be copied and pasted. So you can reach out to 3-5 potential partners for a conversation, because not everyone might respond. And generally it's also better to have not only one, because it could be that the person is occupied, and then it's nice to have like 2 or 3, so you can rotate or just vary it up a bit. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helped you to make a concrete plan how to use online conversations to fuel your language learning, and also be able to use the 140 questions which I exemplified in the Notion template. Otherwise, let me know what you would like to hear from me about, and see you in the next week. Subscribe for updates. Down by the